and then I can alright. So I think you can see my screen, right? So I just wanna
Well, that's creative.
yeah, it is. So on the right hand side is basically the Magic the Gathering card, but it's basically the summoning station. But then combining mathematics with summoning. But before we do that, I just want to explain what you will kind of experience today. So basically, a kind of a primer to what is expected value. How can we apply this one? Then mathematics. So share some a calculator, which then you can use afterwards as well. And then we kind of rug ourselves with a summon that I've prepared,
Yep.
and hopefully we are going to get.
Iowa State's getting demolished, Gray.
Uh, anyway,
Oh, look at it,
um,
Mom.
let's see.
Oh!
Could we? Is there? Sajid, could you make sure we have everyone muted that then joins, and then unmute when we have questions? Just want to double check that in Discord. Cool. So let's kick off. What is expected value? It's usually used in kind of probability-based games, as you can see here. I hope everyone's familiar with this game, this casino game called Roulette, which I will use as an example as well. But the boring part is it's an anticipated value for an investment at some point in the future. So the keywords are anticipated and at some point in the future. What we are using here in a simplified terms is like you summon, and then at this point you immediately want to know its value. So basically you have paper hands and you want to sell it immediately, but meaning you don't need to sell it immediately, but you need to know at this time, the snapshot's time, how much, what the expected value is of that particular summon. So in statistics and a probability analysis, basically multiplying each possible outcome. So in summoning case, it could be maybe 6 classes that you get the outcome, but I will show you later, and then summing all of those values up, right? So it could be negative values as well as positive. Of course, you want to have it positive because it's usually going to be a greater event for you, but it could also be negative in terms of gambling, right? Because if you go to a casino and you want to make money, it's probably not the best place to do it, but you need to be aware of each game, like what the expected value is, because in some games you might lose more and faster than other games where variance plays a role, where you can actually win consistently. It feels like you can win consistently, you can beat the casino, but it's only because the expected value is relatively higher for you than other games. So for instance, blackjack is a very good game to basically have a higher negative expected value, so close to 0, compared to slot machines where you probably lose 30 cents on the dollar every time you spin the slot. So let me give you an example, one from the casino, one from DFK, or more like a DFK-esque environment. So an example number 1 is like you have a roulette wheel here on your right, you have two zero numbers here, but you bet $1,000 on 27 because you're like a baller. If you win, you get 35x, so you get 35k. This wheel has 38 numbers. So I give you a couple of seconds to calculate your expected value. If you want to sit back, relax, and you can also wait. In the next slide I will explain a little bit how it works. But it goes without saying you should get a negative number because it's a casino game.
Yo, I can't see anything.
That is a good... Let me just double check. Is everyone else also not able to see anything?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second.
We're going crazy.
No, I was... okay, now I need to do this. This is better. Okay. So I think you can see my screen now, right? Could you confirm? 'Cause I think now I'm sharing my screen, so it should be better than just the
Yep, yep,
window.
yep.
Okay, cool. So let me recap. My bad. So these 4 things we're gonna do today. So what's the expected value? How does it apply to DFK? Showing the calculator and then rugging ourselves. And then the question. So the expected value theory is here. Like, it's basically multiplying each possible outcome by the likelihoods. And then the question is here. And now you can see the wheel, right? So thanks for highlighting. So let me go to the next slide just to show you how I would calculate this, because there's numerous ways of calculating this one. So the key points are that you need to see that there's like 38 possibilities, and you also need to know your payout. But then expected value is basically all the profit events and all the loss events, right? So you win once, so that's your profit event, but you lose 37 times, which is then your loss event. So what you then need to do is then multiply everything and then add everything up at the very end. So you win 35,000, right? 1 out of 38 times. So your expected value is 921. Then your loss event is like you lose 37 times, but you lose 1,000. So your loss is 973.68. Then at the very end you kind of sum them up or subtract them. So you come down to an EV of $52.63. So every time you put $1,000 on a number, doing exactly the same thing I introduced in the previous slide, then you lose $52 on average. So you get $947.37 back. This is also known as a house edge, or 5.26%. So the higher this house edge, the more the casino earns on average. You can also apply this kind of house edge on DFK just because of transaction costs and so forth. But we are looking at summoning right now, so it's already baked into the cost of the summoning. So let's use a DFK example, but it's not called DFK. So we aped into this new game called Simple Kingdoms. So in this game, there's only 3 classes for simplicity's sake. There's the simps, there's the KEKWs, and the grills. But you can only summon with the simps and KEKWs, right? So regardless what summoning combo you do, so simp with a simp, or simp with a KEKW, or 2 KEKWs, the summoning chances are as follows. So you have a 60% chance to get a simp, and the market value is $1.67. 39.01% of getting a KEKW, and then you have a 99 basis points chance to get a $25,000 grill. It's a very expensive grill. I'm not sure why in this game they have this expensive grill, but you know what I mean. And then the summoning cost is 250 USDC. So, also seeing you have paper hands, you immediately sell the character after summoning. So the question then is, like, in terms of expected value, is summoning in this glorious game a profitable move, right? So, because you have to spend $250, and you can see you either lose a lot or you win big, right? So, just like the previous example, you need to multiply the summoning chance with the market values, and then use the 250 USDC as your initial investment, right? So let me do that on the right. So it gets a bit more complicated because you have 3 different outcomes, but basically the profit event is there again, but you don't really make profit 60% of the time because you only get $1.67, and then the summoning cost is minus $250. But you can see you break even here, right? So then the question is more like, do you like doing this? Do you like to gamble? If the answer is yes, then please do so. But the question then you have to ask yourself when things are break even is also like, is there another way of making a profitable move by doing something else, or by playing a different game in terms of summoning, right? So continuing on this road, I want to show also some noise things that are not really related to expected value and calculating your profit. But before I do that, it's like, there's probably a question everyone has in their minds. If I just summon once and hit jackpot, right, you just hit that mythic Dread Knight. Assuming you never summon again, does it affect my expected value? The question is no, because of course it's independently from calculated from your actual summon. You're just very lucky. So you're running in kind of in the gambling and poker community, you probably say like, I'm running above expected value. So you're running hot or you're running very lucky. Now if you're very unlucky, let's say you get a floor champion like 3 times in a row, that means you're running below expected value. Means like you need to summon more to get to that expected value over long term, right? Moving on to kind of eliminating the noise, but this is like from a casino game. Maybe you've never stepped in a casino, but people are very superstitious, which is a very cool thing to see if you like to observe, especially in Asian casinos. But you also see it in American casinos. So there's 2 pictures here, one in an Asian casino playing baccarat, and on the left hand side you see someone playing roulette. Then the question is like, where do you see the noise here in this picture? Like what does not add any value for the player in terms of increasing their expected value? I'm gonna give it 5 seconds and I move to the next slide. So the numbers on this screen here, the results on the right hand side and the roulette on the left hand side, is basically showing the numbers, the previous results, but they don't have any outcome on the next one. But for the sake of roulette, like it's a, oh yeah, if you see like it's hitting 13, you can see very small, like 13 twice in a row, then people start to think like, oh, it must either be a hot number, so I need to bet on it again, or like, oh, this number already hit, so it cannot hit again, right? But the ball doesn't remember like what the results were previous time. The dealer definitely doesn't have any influence, and the wheel is not rigged anyway because it's regulated by a commission. But what it does here, the sole function of these 2 screens here is basically to encourage betting, to basically give the players some statistics, and then players like, oh, I actually want to bet more because the number hit here 3 times in a row, so it must be a hot number. Or in the case of baccarat, it's like, oh, player won the last 5 times, so maybe I should bet the banker. So just encourage betting, and I think that somebody did an analysis on this one, like with screen, without screen. With the screen, like players were betting 30% more. And the reason I'm showing you this is because in DFK I see something similar happening, in my view. So here's once again the PJ, the perilous journey, survival chance. I just took a random guy. So here we also have noise, I would say, because you cannot directly calculate your expected value from this statement, right? A couple of them you can, like the jewels, the crystals, very simple. But the achievement of a future quest and access to a selection of land tournaments, you cannot really give a good value of expected value towards it, because you just simply don't have enough information there. You're just basically speculating where to its fullest extent, like what this achievement for future quests are, what the access to a selection of land tournaments are. I think this week we heard it's like how many tournaments they're gonna be for the survivors, but also that doesn't tell you a lot. Maybe you can say like, okay, one winner takes it all, that gets 1 Gen 0, but also maybe the top 5 of the tournament gets Gen 0s, right? You just simply don't know at the moment. So in human psychology, you tend to be a bit more positive or overconfident in your estimation than pessimistic. So I think this is what the DFK team not intentionally tries to do, but you need to basically remove the noise from what you really can calculate. Because you can calculate the full XP bar, it's just a stamp potion basically. You can calculate boosts, stats into jewels, for instance. You can get the expected value for raffle tickets because we have perfect information to see like how many heroes are going on that journey, what the median or average survival rate is. Then you can see like, okay, there's so many raffle tickets, then I stand to win this. I have like 500 tickets, there's 5 million tickets being handed out, this is my chance of winning, right? Crystal jewel, same thing. And then the lesser enhancement stone and lesser attunement crystal, you can also basically assign a jewel value to it as well. But the problem is the red ones, so just want to highlight this one. But then how do we use expected value in summoning? And let's use the screenshot I have here. So it's kind of summoning chances, right? This is probably something you use familiar, like, hey, I have a hero, or I have 2 heroes. how do they match together. Then you see like a big splash of percentage here. So you see class, subclass, profession, rarity, stat boost, and active and passive, active abilities and the chances of getting you an advanced one or elite one, right? So how do you kind of go through this swamp of percentage, and I'm basically making sure that you actually make the right decision, right? Because at first, like, doesn't matter if I have a 0.78% chance of getting a monk. So what I do with the calculator I show you later is basically classify each of single segment, right? So the green segment, you can directly calculate your expected value, because you can see like, okay, if I have a knight and it's a miner, that's a good thing. If I have a knight, it's fishing, not so good thing. Same with rarities. Of course, you want the mythic and 75 basis points chance to get it. Now the pink ones are very speculative because the market doesn't fully price this one in, but ideally you want to have the stat boost 1 and 2 aligning with your class. Now there's not a lot of market research done yet on like how much extra value that gives you to your to your champion or to your hero. Ideally you want like vitality or like dexterity and agility is matching with your ninja, it's great. But if it's not, it's also not the end of the world. Same for like the advanced, elite, transcendence abilities, active and passive ones. I think not many people are looking for this one actively at this moment. Like, it's very underrated at the moment. I don't see it publicly being available in the tavern, so there's also not a lot of information out. But there is infrastructure being built for on this website, or like even in other websites like dfking.co, where you can actually see these percentage or what the hero possesses, right? But right now it's very speculative, and people think like, okay, Transcend is like the upgraded version of basic. So let's say your active ability is like from a paladin is like, temporarily shield yourself, you get 10% defense boost, and then advanced might be 12.5, elite might be 15, and the transcendent might be 20%. But that's pure speculation at this point, so that's why I put it in pink. And last but not least, in blue, it's kind of the subclass. I think it's basically meant for PvP and PvE growth indicators. I don't think the market has priced this in at all. Where if it's a Dark Knight, it's maybe seen a bit more coveted, but definitely don't get 5 jewels or 10 jewels extra out of it. But I could be wrong on this one, but I don't see much difference from having a wizard subclass versus a monk subclass, for instance. So how I kind of created the calculator, which I showed next, is basically use the next 3 things here as the primary indicator. So class output, of course, it makes a big difference if you have a dragoon versus an archer. That seems quite straightforward. And then the profession as well, because right now gardening is the worst. Nobody likes gardeners, and gardeners just got nerfed. Everybody's flogging away from their current gardeners to either Crystal Vale or see the APRs dropping, so they go to other projects such as Davira. But this is basically what I mean with desirable, undesirable, right? Like, if it matches, it's great, but you can have the best gardener with your class, but if the market doesn't value it more, then what's the point? So that's what I mean with desirable, undesirable. And then rarity, of course, like as a simplified multiplier effect, as they're worth more stats long term. So what I do is mostly look in the floor heroes, like what's a common floor hero, uncommon floor hero, rare, legendary, mythic, and then create a multiplier effect in that way, because you get the higher rarity you get, the more stats you get, but also the more worth it becomes. Then on the flip side, with the speculative one, mostly I assign a dual value if the green-blue match your desired output, but in the calculator you can actually put in the weight as well. So if you want to do 100% weight, feel free, but you can also do it 50% weight. And the same goes for the active ones, like assign a dual value proportionally to the percentage of getting one or multiple advanced, elite, or transcendent abilities, right? So here you have 14% chance, 17% chance, and 23% chance. Just ignore the 1% here. But basically then it's like, okay, what is the percentage chance of me getting all 3? What's the percentage chance of me getting just 1? And then basically assigning a dual value for yourself. Like, okay, I think an advanced and 3 basics is worth 10 jewels more in the long term. Maybe it's 100. But if it's 3 out of 4, if you have got 3 advanced, like maybe it's worth 200 jewel, right? But that's like kind of the speculation you have to make. That's why I put in optional in that calculator. So this is the last slide, but let me stop it right here. If you have any questions, I will check the chat right now, but you can also unmute yourself to ask me a question before I move on to the calculator and then the actual summoning. I'm not sure if there's a lounge chat here as well. There is not. Okay, assuming there's no questions, I will just move on to the showing the calculator, and then we can get summoning. So basically, this is the summoning calculator I made on G-Sheets. It's basically very simple because it just you have to put in all the numbers yourself. But how to use is basically here. So first you need to fill in your summoning chances in column Charlie. So that's what I've done here as well. So basically Knight, 934%, Warriors, so forth, Paladin, Dark Knight, and then Dragoon here. And then the floor percentage is computed automatically, as you can see here. Then in column Echo, like estimate the desirable profession for this one. So basically use this summoning matching page, where I can see like, okay, gardening 50%, fishing, foraging, mining. So I just did 50% because I don't like gardening at all on this summon, but this is the best summon match I could find yesterday amongst my heroes. So basically I want to use my Paladin with someone's Dark Knight, and then I want to get a Dragoon. But then the gardening one is the only thorn in the eye, so that's why I put in profession desirable 50%, profession undesirable 50%, just for simplicity's sake. And then the most important one is like, okay, what are the prices, or the average or the low prices, I use the low prices here, of you getting that hero, right? So for instance, a knight that is desirable or not desirable, doesn't really matter. It's like, what's the lowest price, right? So I looked into the tavern yesterday and then found the numbers. But you have to do this actually, because that's actually the most important one, because as you can see here, the Warrior Knight gives me 42 jewel price and floor 41, but then Paladin 55 and 59, and you're like, oh, actually I have to spend 89 to summon it. It's actually not worth it, right? And then Dragoon is 235, and then what it does is kind of multiply F16 with and G16. So basically your chances here with the chances here. So in the end you get your EV value, and that gets summed up in here. Now you see also other formulas over here, so let's go over there. So N23 is right here. So here's the green chance and blue chance of desired. So I do 46.88% and then 86%, and I give them a markup value. So if I change this weight to 0%, you lose the EV here, as you can see here. It's now 85%, but if I do it 100%, then I gain 7 jewel over time, right? But let's do 50% now. Same goes for the advanced ones. Basically what I did with the matching is like, okay, I want to have 3, maybe I can show it again, so 2 actives that I can match with, right? But every time I match an active or active 2 or passive one, it's like 14, it's between 14 and 18% here. You can see it's 18%, and then advanced here is 14%. But then you have to use math to basically figure out like, what's the chance to just get 1 advanced, right? Or what's the chance to get 2 advanced? So I put it here, and then I put in a jewel markup if desired, so 25 or 50 for this advanced one, but let's use the weight at 50% as well. But you can see here now that my EV of a common is 85 jewels, and I have to spend 89 to summon it, right? So I kind of lose out here. But then the last one is the rarities, right? Like how does rarity come into play? It's basically looking like, okay, let's say you have the common and it's 53% chance. Now if you have the uncommon, I just look at the floor prices of the Paladin and the Dark Knights, the ones that there's the highest chance for me to get them. Like what is the what's the floor price? So it's 52, 75, 145, 330, and then there were only 2 champions in Mythic, so you can even maybe go lower to 1500, right? And then basically you get the multiply effect here because of the hit rates. So if you have a common but you get a Mythic instead, you have a 28.8 multiply effect. So that changes your EV a little bit. Now, if you want to ignore this one and focus on common, that's fine as well. Basically, if your common EV is higher than your summoning cost, you should do it regardless. But now you have to make a decision, right? Like, do you really bank on getting a higher chance of rare, legendary, mythic, versus like just 55.3% chance of common? Then you need to take that chance, right? But long term, over time, if this holds true, then you will make a profit of 73.47 jewels every time you do this summon, right? So that's how you have to see it. Now, there's some other things like to go over through. Instead of like the low, you can do the average. So you can go to the sold auction website here. So what I tend to do then is then choose Dragoon, and last 72 hours. So then you can check the average price here. We can also look here like to see like if I'm going to get a common, can actually also filter on commons. What you will get, so 213 here. The problem with the Dragoon market is it's very unforgiving for 0 summons. So you can see a 0/0 being sold for 112. But then as soon as you have a summon on the Dragoon, it fetches a premium of around 100 jewel as well. It's just because this is how the Dragoon Sage market works. But you can still use it for the ones that have a higher count of sold heroes. So let's use Paladin. So only 74 Paladins were sold last 72 hours. The average price is 90. But if you look at the outliers, then you see the outliers are here and here. So 363 because they have 5 out of 5 summons, right? And maybe because endurance is matching their the class as well as mining. Right, but if you go to gardening, Paladin's already 54, 65, right? So it's really how pessimistic or optimistic you are in this aspect. There's no like one best way, but I'm a bit pessimistic usually, because then you can say like if it's really bad, then I get this, and if it's really good, then everything else is a bonus. But this is the worst case scenario, I would say. And then with the multiply effect, you can also maybe put in a weight as well. So now I do 100% weight, but maybe you can do it 75% to see like, okay, maybe it's less extreme, maybe it's 50 jewels profit, right? Once again, I will share this link later on as well, so you can make a copy and then use it yourself. You can edit everything, you can let me know if there's a mistake. Happy to support you on this one. And then I think that's it what I wanted to explain. So what I did for my summon is I actually put everything in the calculator as well. So the number you see here is basically what I will expect. So I probably lose out for the sake of the guild, but hopefully I get a mythic, and then I make big profits, and then we can share the profits. But since I run above expected value, meaning like my previous summons have been above average that I expected, I just do expect I just get like a common archer and then cry myself to bed. So hopefully that won't happen, but you never know, because it's like still 14.8% chance of a floor and 9% chance of a knight, and then 30, 14 of Paladin, Dark Knight, and Dragoon respectively. Cool. I think is everyone ready for the summoning, or is anyone has a quick question? Try to look at the chat, but I don't see it. Alright, I assume that's no questions, so I think everyone's ready for their popcorn. Oh, I need to log in again. Just 1 second. Alright. Alright, so this is a... Let's choose our heroes. I think... Oh, it's already here, so good. So one thing you need to know, if you have a level 5 and you rent a hero that's also level 5, you can... It's not done automatically for me, so I need to press another 10 tiers to get the 1 stat bonus from the level 5. I don't have an enhancement stone, so I just don't do that one. I just need to double check. It's 126223 and 126223. Okay. So what am I expecting? Realistically, I'm expecting an archer or a dark knight. I would love to have a witcher. And then hopefully they have vitality, and hopefully they do not have gardening. And then if it's an archer, please, I want to have 3 advanced. That would actually make me happy. But yeah, I never know. So let's see what we're going to get. I think expected value wise, I need to hit big because it's like Dragoon will be instant profit. But Paladin Dark Knight would also be profit long term. I think right now it's just a snapshot of Paladins and Dark Knights being undervalued. But if the Perilous Journey starts, I would think there's less supply coming in on those classes respectively. I think Paladins are quite known for being good PvP character. Dark Knight's a bit underrated. But let's see. Okay, check. I'm always getting nervous for these things because it's not entirely in my hands. Oh boy. I'm already sweating. I don't want to look.
Do it for science.
Do it for science indeed. Okay, let's see what we get. I hope for the best, because this is the best matching character I could find that I don't have. I'm gonna get some napkins ready to cry. Hey, why is it not showing up? Why is my archer not showing up? Yeah. Maybe it's lagging. The last summon I did was like 2 patches ago, so I'm not really sure I should be looking elsewhere or it should just miraculously show up. Does anyone know where I need to go? Because I don't want to look in my inventory because that's kind of lame, right? I think they changed it. But maybe there's nobody.
If it doesn't load, you'll have to go to your inventory.
No! There's no way. Okay, fine. Isn't a better way? Is there not? I can go to DFK Tower, DFK Tracker. Oh wait. All right, let's see what we get. ID sending. Okay, so we get a paladin. Ooh, that's good. Okay, let me just show this one in a bigger one. So we don't get an archer luckily, but it's a comment. So alright, so this is what we get: a level 1 Gen 4 paladin wizard. Paladin wizard. Okay. Now is the gardener. It's a fisher, so I'm happy. Vitality, which is good. Now, does it have any advanced abilities? Is the question I have. So there's fishing, so it's 37% chance. Then vitality at 86. And then what was the other one? Agility, right? Okay, that's a bummer, because if it was an endurance one, it would be good for the paladin. But let's see what we get here. 60. Ooh, 2 advanced. Okay, so I'm lucky here. Running above EV again. And 67 starting point. So element fire. I'm not sure how good that would be long term, but yeah, very happy with this advanced 1 and advanced 3. Unfortunately, it's a common, but I think with the shiny one, then we can go further. Now the question now is like, how do we use this last summon of this paladin for the next one? So maybe give you some bonus as well. So this website has like a matching feature. It's kind of premium, I would say. So you need to kind of look at RAF very, very nicely. But what you do then is like go here to minimum skills that can mutate plus the main class that can mutate, and then you can filter anything in. But then if I press view, hopefully it starts to also look at my advanced abilities, but I can quickly see that. Alright, so the thing you need to focus on is the first two, the A, because that's advanced. So if the first two are in orange, then you have like a very, very good matching partner. Usually that's not the case, and then you can sort them on sale price or rental price. So here the cheapest rental price, this Dark Knight, is Gen 4, will cost 92, but then you have like an active that can match with an elite and a basic that can match with an elite. So let me just show you how this one works. So let's say I want to summon with this one, cost me 10. Then for the abilities, you can see it's matching 1 and 3, but then the chances are like elite 40% and then advanced 60% total. Then if it's like basic versus advanced, it's like this, 46 versus 37. And then here with two basics, then you have an advanced as well here, which is 17.5. So this is how and then if there's no no advanced, then you see it like this here. Alternatively, you can just look at sales, like what is on sale, so you can snipe them as well. But you can see mostly the basic ones are matching here. Oh, this one in here. Ooh, I need to buy this one, I guess. So here you can see both of them are matching, as you can see, and then the chances are exactly the same as like two basics with an advanced, but of course you want to have elites because that's better, I would say. If you look at the population, I'm going to this next page here, zoom in a little bit in. So 80% have 4 basics, 1 advanced has 18% of the population, 2 advanced has 1.81, and then elite only 1 elite with 12 basis points, and then 1 transcendent only 6 basis points. But this depends really if they're going to nerf the transcendent one from the Gen Zeros. So it's better to have an elite than a transcendent, given it's more stable, more guaranteed to keep it. But this can be an indicator for you to say, like, okay, I have 1 advanced ability in my hero. Like, what's the rarity of that? So it still doesn't translate back into jewel, but it's good to be aware of. Also, if you're in the market for like 2 advanced or 3 advanced, then you also know how big the rarities are. And sometimes people just don't even know. Like they sell like a floor champion and have like 1 advanced ability, which is 18% of the population, but it's still like a good opportunity for you to snag it up. And then when the market realizes that an advanced ability is actually worth more jewel, then you can start reselling it. So that's kind of what I sometimes do. I snipe like the floors that have the advance, and then like wait a couple of moments to then we start reselling it. Okay, I think that's it from my side. Let me just stop sharing it because I also love to see your lovely faces. But hopefully I didn't rush into it. I will once again like share the recording. You can also see the slides and the calculator, so you can have some fun yourself in trying to figure out what's the best summon. This is how I summon, so there's probably not the best way either, but happy to learn from you as well. And I'm always in these channels to help you out when you need some help. So I think I'm just gonna stop my recording here.